What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today we have some Corvette stuff planned. I know, surprise, right? But specifically, we're going to do something with the C5 Corvette today, and it's going to make it even freaking cooler. I love this car so much, but this particular mod is going to make it even more lovable. Let's get into it now. All right, guys, so before we get started today, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Click Lewis Chevrolet in Palmyra, Pennsylvania for helping me obtain the C5 Corvette. And while we're on the topic of Click Lewis, I also wanted to talk to you guys about a car show, Corvette show specifically, that's happening there on June 5th. It starts at 8 a.m. and it runs until mid-afternoon. So if you guys are interested, I will be there with the C5, the C8, and my ZR1. I'd love to see you there. If you have a Corvette, definitely stop out, check out their inventory, and you can even talk to my salesman, Michael Matarazzo, up there about securing one of your own C8 Corvettes if you guys are interested. But I'd love to meet you, and I hope to see you there. All right, guys, so like I said, the C5 is going to get a little bit of love today. We have something interesting, a really cool mod that everybody that has a C5 should have, in my opinion at least, and we're going to go ahead and install it today. This mod comes to us from a place called Corvette Innovations. He actually has a lot of really cool stuff on his site, and one of the coolest things coming is his particular version of the Sleepy Eye mod, version 2.0, that from what I understand he developed himself, and the guy's website is really awesome. I reached out to him for this particular part, and he was kind enough to send it over to me so I could demonstrate it for you guys. But before we do, I want to talk to you about one other really cool feature that my friend Pat from Pat's Garage sent me. If you guys aren't familiar with Pat, he was here not too long ago and I reviewed his Acura NSX. I will put all of his information down in the description below, but he was kind enough to send me a window valet mod for the C5 Corvette. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is a little plug that goes into the OBD2 port and it allows you to use your stock remote to roll down the windows. So what we would do is just take the stock remote, press unlock 3 times, and there goes the windows. Now, where things get really cool though is that you can do the same thing to roll them back up, only you hit lock 3 times and they go back up. So something as simple as that is one of the coolest features, in my opinion, because a lot of new cars don't even come with stuff like that. And this one, you just plug it in the OBD2 port and you are ready to go. So into the mods today, guys. Like I said, this mod on top here is for the C5 Corvette. This giant box underneath is for the C8 Corvette. And there's a bunch of mods coming for the C7 Corvette. We got all kinds of mods happening for the Corvettes in general. But this box right here is the C5 box. Now, as you can see here, or maybe not, these are taillights. Now, these are the really interesting style taillights with the halo around them, and then of course the LEDs in the center there to really bring this car up to date. And it is really going to make this thing pop. Corvette Innovations sent these taillights to me. We're going to go ahead and install them. There's a little bit more to it than just screwing these in and plugging them in the back. There is actually a different relay that we have to plug in under the dash to make sure that these things do not hyper flash whenever we're hitting the turn signals. Let's get this C5 Corvette up to 2021 standards. Before we get too much into this though, guys, I want to address the elephant in the room, and that is, yeah, these exhaust tips. So what's happening here is something that's kind of out of my control. Whenever I first picked up the car, I thought, okay, no problem, I'll just loosen up the exhaust pipe, straighten it up, and then tighten it back up underneath the car. Well, I can't do that because at some point the exhaust actually had a rust hole in it, or it rusted off at the flange, and whenever the person re-welded it, they did not adjust the tip out here. So this is permanently welded in that position, which means, sadly, I'm going to have to actually get an aftermarket exhaust for this car. I know, it's so terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do. Just kidding. I was actually going to get one anyway. So the axle back exhaust will be coming for the car. Let's try to ignore those for the time being and focus on the awesome taillights we're about to put in here. Because like I said, if you guys have a C5 Corvette, you know these things are hardly ever straight anyway. Even with aftermarket or a perfect setup of stock tips, they're almost never perfect. So let's focus on the stuff that is going to be perfect, and that's going to be these taillights. Let's jump into these things. Ignore these. All right, so into the actual installation, or in this case, the disassembly of the stock stuff to get prepared for the new taillights is actually pretty easy. So if you guys out there actually own a C5 Corvette, you'll know it's pretty easy to work on. I mean, a lot of the more advanced things didn't start coming until the C6 or even the C7. So with the C5, everything is pretty much held together with Phillips head screws or 10mm nuts. For those of you out there who actually have a C5 Corvette, you'll know I'm not joking. Anyway, let's go ahead and get these taillights out. I'm going to use my trusty impact, but ultimately there is 2 Phillips head screws right here. So we're going to go ahead and get these out, and then we're also going to take them out of this one as well. So let's get to it. I know, riveting stuff here, guys. But I promise the end product is going to be worth it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. The disassembly stuff with the C5 is just freaking amazing. So then we just squeeze right here, rotate the bulb out, and we are basically done with taking out the stock taillight. There's really not much to these guys. They're basically just all plastic with a red lens. So let's get something a little more current in there. But of course, before we do, let's go ahead and pop out the driver's most side one as well. Same kind of thing, 2 screws, and then the taillight basically falls out into your hand. So that's pretty much it. We are now ready for the LED taillights. Before we continue, guys, I just wanted to let you know that there is an indication here showing one of them goes on the right side and one goes on the left side. I don't see a physical difference between the two, but I'm glad I checked for this because apparently there is some sort of difference. The very, very basic instructions kind of tell you as much. So right there's 2 for the left, 2 for the right, and to kind of make sure you lock the electrical connector into place, that way there's no water leakage or anything like that. So yeah, that's literally it for the instructions, at least for the taillights. Like I said, we do have a relay to work with later, but for now, these are what we need to focus on. So let's get both left ones installed. So back at the car now, we have the new taillights ready to go, and they do come with this cellophane style protecting on there. So when you're installing the taillights, you don't scratch them up. I'm gonna leave that on until we're literally ready to start putting in the screws, because what we have to do next is actually attach the factory electrical plug to the new taillight. And how we do that is pretty easy, but we got to take the factory plug and remove that factory bulb. So we're going to reuse this plug to make sure that power is provided to the taillight and that weather is perfectly sealed out with this little rubber gasket right there. We will go ahead and just remove this bulb. It literally just pulls right out just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and attach it to the new taillight. In order to do that, we'll grab the new taillight and we'll just remove this piece of paper right here, and it exposes the part that we're going to have to deal with, which is right here. And this will plug right into the factory power right here. So it's basically the same as the bottom of the plug from the bulb that was plugged into the stock taillight. So we'll take this, plug it in just like this, and with that in, we will then take the entire socket, push everything down in, and make sure that it is turned nice and tight in there so that water doesn't leak into the LED. We are basically ready to go at this point. We'll push everything back in and start screwing this into place. But before I do, like I said, we're going to go ahead and remove the protectant here. You get to see that beautiful thing. Let's go ahead and get this thing into place and marvel at how much better this car looks with a little bit of an updated LED brake light. We're going to do a little bit more of the same for the driver's most side. So we'll just remove the bulb just like that. Plug in the new LED taillight the same kind of way we did with the one right beside it. Just kind of push it into place just like that. Then we'll make sure that it is in fact tightened down back here to make sure water is sealed out. Gotta love these things. All right, just like that. And then we'll go ahead, remove the protective cover from this one as well. And then just pop it into place, screw it down, and we're pretty much good back here. All right, guys, there we go. As you can see, the left is done, the right is not, and just to look at them without them even being on, it looks fantastic already. So if I go ahead and unlock the car, you can see the halos light up on the left side. Obviously, the right side, you can barely even tell they're illuminated. One benefit of the LEDs on the left is going to be that they're going to be a lot brighter at night. People are going to be a lot more aware whenever you are actually pressing your brakes. And those halos, of course, look super up to date and really make the car look cooler. Obviously, the next LEDs we need are these backup lights here, but we will work on that in the future. For now, these things are looking super freaking good. I absolutely love this car, and it's getting better by the day. Now, of course, I'm going to give you guys a night shot as well, because that's where these things are really going to blow it up. They're really going to look awesome on the car, especially at night because of how they light up. But even during the day here, I can take one look at this thing and immediately tell it is much more up to date. And here's these taillights at night, guys. Obviously, these two over here on the driver's side are the new taillights, and these are the old factory taillights. So you can clearly see the difference at night, because these things are just incandescent bulbs lighting up what is otherwise a red lens, whereas these ones have a nice halo approach to them. And then once we hit the brakes or hit the turn signals, they will light up a lot brighter and a lot more modern looking, like I was saying. So basically the problem with this setup right now is that I have not installed the new relay inside the car. So these will hyper flash, meaning they basically flash real fast whenever you turn on the turn signals. That is what I mean. So that other part of the installation that we're going to have to finish during the day is going to take care of this. It actually replaces the relay flasher, so it allows this to blink at a normal pace. And we're back, guys. It is the next day, and we actually have already done the other side of the car. So we did these two on camera. I went ahead and did these two off camera because honestly, it is one of the easiest installs I have ever done, and I really feel like you guys don't necessarily need to see me unscrewing something and screwing it back in. It's literally that easy. But what I do want to show you is the next step, how we can go ahead and make sure that these things operate just like factory and not have any kind of hyper flashing issues. Now, as you can see here, it really is just a plug and play solution. There's no cutting of wires. There's nothing permanent about this. If you want to install it and then remove it later and remove the taillights, you absolutely can. Nothing is permanent with this installation. I noticed two things right away when opening up this piece of paper, the instructions on installing the actual relay here. The first thing is it looks pretty easy. There's not many steps. There's literally 6 steps to get this thing done and we're good to go. Now, the second thing I noticed, these instructions are in color. This is very, very rare in my experience. You buy a part for a car, it almost never comes with color instructions, if it comes with instructions at all. A lot of the places typically have you scan a QR code or just go to their website to check it out, which I don't really mind, but this is a pretty neat touch. You got color instructions on getting this thing done. I absolutely love it. And we are inside the car here. We're going to go ahead and start following these instructions, popping out panels, popping out screws, getting underneath here and accessing the part that we need to make sure that this hyper flash does not continue. While we're sitting in the car, the first step is going to be to try to get the steering wheel out of the way as much as possible so we have a little more room for movement in here. And then we're going to come over to the right here. This panel right beside the ignition actually needs to come off. So we'll take our trim pry tool, pop it in there. Wow, that really did not take much effort at all. Like I said, guys, the 2000 Corvette kind of just wants to come apart on its own. So yeah, you're not really gonna struggle too much with this stuff. So one panel down. Now we'll come over to the left-hand side and kind of do the same thing. Just stick your pry tool in there, pop this guy out. Again, very easily done. We'll go ahead and disconnect this wire connector here, and then we'll have easy access to the screw right there. Now, with this particular panel unplugged, you can see that screw in there. That is actually a T15 Torx bolt. You can literally just take your T15, put it right on there, and start turning it off. This is just a typical screwdriver. This is not put on there with any kind of crazy amount of torque, so you can do it by hand. We'll do this again on the other side of the steering wheel, and then ultimately at the bottom of this panel, and then we can go ahead and remove the panel. Next, like I said, we are looking for the 2 screws under the dash. We'll go ahead and remove those, and then that entire piece is going to come off. We can now just basically go ahead and grab this particular piece and start pulling, and we're going to ultimately pull it right down and off. On the other side of the wheel, you're going to see that this particular piece of dash actually goes behind the other piece of the dash that runs across over into the radio area. So you'll basically just want to work it out from behind that area so you can get this entire piece out. Pull forward on this and kind of pull down on the brown piece. Just like that. Now, the internal thermometer or temperature sensor wire is still connected here. You can unplug it from the back of the dash piece to get it totally out of the way. So the directions say that the last step is to now install the harness, and the part of the factory wiring we're going to unplug to put this pigtail into is actually located right underneath the keyhole. So if we go down right there is the plug we're going to remove. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug that and plug that end into here, and then this back into the factory wiring, thus allowing this thing to do what it needs to do. And here's the factory harness unplugged. The new T harness is going to go right in between these 2 connectors here. Really making this easy, guys, because without this kind of stuff, you'd have to use some sort of wire taps or possibly even cut and solder. It's much more easy whenever you can just plug it in and call it a day. So here we go with the T harness here. This part will just plug right into the factory wire harness. There's one end, and now the other end will go into the other end of the factory wire harness right here. So we can just take this and we can just plug them together like so. And that's it, guys. So we'll go ahead and put all this stuff back up inside the dash and then put everything back together, and our hyper flashing issue should be solved. But of course, if you're doing it the right way, we're going to test it before we put everything back together. So once again, we'll go ahead and put the key in, turn it to accessory mode, and hit the turn signal. And there it is. Flashing just like a normal tail light. And we come out here, and sure enough, there it is, flashing normally. We are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and button this thing back up, and then I will catch you guys back here tonight to show you the operation of all of these taillights at night. All right, guys, so here we have it at night. So this is basically the parking lights. This is what you get. So the halos around all 4 lights, and this is before anybody would hit the brake. This is what it will look like once you hit the brakes. So as you can see, it lights up really bright along with the third brake light. Halos stay on, but the inside part also lights up really, really bright at night. Now with the foot on the brake, go ahead and put on the left turn signal. So there we have it. Like I said, normal flashing, no hyper flashing anymore because of that module. Very stock functionality here, minus the fact that these are insanely bright. So a lot brighter than the stock stuff. They look a lot more current because of the halo setups. It looks really good at night. Like I said, if this car were to be made in 2021, I have a feeling this is exactly what these taillights would look like. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's video for the one mod that every C5 Corvette needs. And I want to give a couple thanks to a couple different people. Number one, the biggest and most important thanks is to Click Lewis Chevrolet. These are the guys who provided me this car at such a fantastic price. I couldn't say no, and they are one of the best dealerships I have ever had the pleasure of working with. Guys, if you are in the market for a Corvette or really any kind of Chevy, hit up Mike Matarazzo at Click Lewis in Palmyra, Pennsylvania. He will get you taken care of. You will not be disappointed. The second huge thumbs up goes to Corvette Innovations. Big thank you to them for sending me these taillights. Yes, they did provide them for free, but you guys have to understand one thing. I emailed him to get these things. I was really hoping he would work with the channel and send them to me, and he did, but it was not just because he wanted to send me a set of taillights to test out for him. I requested these, and he did send them to me for free. So this is my 100% unbiased opinion of these things. They are absolutely freaking awesome, and my experience with Corvette Innovations has been insanely awesome as well. Very pleasurable and an awesome customer service experience overall. All of this stuff will be linked in the description down below, guys, but you definitely want to check out Corvette Innovations if you're looking for anything Corvette aftermarket, specifically the C5. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.